Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Wisconsin.
The first stop of a 6-game road trip for the Brewers is in Queens, New York. We are getting ready for a 3-game series between the Brewers and the Mets here at Citi Field. Some storylines to follow for the Brewers. They're coming off arguably one of their best series as they took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, coming in with the best record in all of baseball, and the starting pitchers were the story. 23 innings for them, an earned run average under 2, holding the opponent average to just 169. Ryan Braun will be out of the lineup, missing his 3rd straight game with back stiffness. Counsell not ruling Braun out for the weekend series, however. The task does not get any easier for this Brewers lineup as they'll be facing Steven Matz, Jacob deGrom, and Noah Syndergaard. They have the 3rd best earned run average in the National League, just over 3. Good evening from Citi Field. I'm Sophia Minards, and with the injuries to Ryan Braun and Domingo Santana, Craig Counsell has had to do some shuffling to his outfield. So the Brewers made a roster move earlier today, placing right fielder Domingo Santana on the 15-day disabled list with right shoulder soreness that has bothered him for much of the month of May. The corresponding move to recall outfielder Keon Broxton from AAA Colorado Springs. Broxton had started the season with the Brewers, got off to a rough start at the plate, but got it going in Colorado. So here's what Craig Counsell had to say about Domingo Santana's status and the roster move.
Yeah, so we put Domingo on the disabled list, and, you know, it was just a case of just kind of not making any progress with his shoulder. You know, it's nothing new really. It's just not making any progress and just trying to 2 weeks off, and then hopefully we get rid of it.
Keon Broxton will get the start in center field tonight for Craig Counsell and the Brewers. It'll be Alex Presley in left, and Kirk Neuenhuis will shift over to right field for Santana. So it'll be a new look outfield for Craig Counsell and the Brewers, but when we come back, we'll talk about the starters. The pitching matchup between left-hander Steven Matz and big righty Willie Peralta. BA and Rock will be back to tell you more as we get ready for first pitch here at Citi Field.
Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time.
Spring has sprung here in New York. Beautiful Friday night for baseball. We welcome you from Citi Field. Getting ready for our matchup tonight. Willie Peralta trying to get things turned around against Steven Matz, the rookie left-hander. Missed one start, back on the mound here tonight. Hi, everybody. We welcome you from Flushing, Queens, alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson. Well, Rock, we're looking at Willie Peralta, and he's hoping to keep the ball rolling now. The Brewers starters have been fantastic this last time through the rotation.
And not just getting outs and winning ball games. The Brewers have won 3 of their last 4 games, and the starting rotation has been the real story after struggling early in the year, not being very effective, and not getting a lot of innings under their belt. The last 4 starts for the Brewers, these guys have pitched into the 7th inning. Davies has been very good. Chase Anderson almost had a no-hitter. Jimmy Nelson's been the guy, and Junior Guerra had 9 strikeouts in yesterday's win against the Chicago Cubs. But when you look at it, you go further back. I mean, the starting rotation has been pretty good 2 times through. The only drag on that was Willie, his last time out, and that's the guy that's got to start turning things around. You know, this year's opening day start, he's been very inconsistent. The fastball's been there, but the problem for Willie has been the slider. I think the one team that might be able to turn him around right now are the Mets. He's 3-1 in 4 starts in his career against the New York Mets with a .288 earned run average. This is a very important start for Willie Peralta here tonight.
And it is interesting that the Mets, they're struggling to score runs. They're hoping to get right against Peralta tonight. The series gets started against the reigning National League champs, the New York Mets. It's game 1 of 3. We got the lineup to the first pitch coming up next. Concluded with their most impressive series win of the season. The Crew's rotation starting to impress with near no-hit bids and eye-popping strikeout numbers. Here in New York, the Mets believe their rotation is the best in baseball, featuring some of the best young arms in the game. Can Willie Peralta find his groove and continue the rotation's dominance? It's the Brewers and the Mets on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And we are just about set for tonight's first pitch. Brewers baseball this evening on Fox Sports Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Wind is blowing on a beautiful Friday night, expecting a little rain in the area tomorrow. They are not optimistic about dry weather tomorrow, but it's perfect out here tonight. We're just a few miles from LaGuardia Airport. Craig Counsell and the Milwaukee Brewers, after a series win against the Chicago Cubs, ready to match up for the first time against the reigning National League champion New York Mets. Counsell's Potawatomi batting order looks like this today. No Ryan Braun in there once again. It'll be Villar, Perez, and Lucroy at the top of the order. Chris Carter, Aaron Hill, and Kirk Neuenhuis, the former Met, make up the middle. And Counsell's got Keon Broxton just back from AAA, Alex Presley, and Willie Peralta rounding it out. And Rock on the mound, one of the great young lefties in the game, rookie Steven Matz, who is coming back from one skipped spot in the rotation. He has had 10 days off.
Yeah, and that's been the problem for Matz. I mean, being able to stay healthy. He's already had Tommy John surgery in his career. 6'2", 201 pounds. He's won 5 in a row after losing his first start of the year to the Marlins. He got racked up pretty good, 7 earned runs in an inning and 2/3, and since that time, he has been outstanding.
His first pitch at 95 miles an hour. It's in for a strike, and away we go from Citi Field. Great to have you with us tonight, wherever you're watching. Brewers trying to keep it going a little bit. They earned a split in a 4-game series on the homestand against the Padres, and then won 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, culminating in a victory yesterday. Very good pitching, as we chronicled in the open, especially starting pitching. And the Brewers will try to keep it going on the road as Villar shoots one to the right side, and a base hit. And a good way to start the night for Milwaukee. Jonathan Villar with a single.
Yep, on an 0-2 pitch. You know, Matt's one of those guys that can move the ball around. You saw he's already throwing 95 miles an hour. Slider, curveball, and changeup. Well, you wonder how his location is going to be after missing a turn and having so much time in between starts. Sometimes that'll affect your location a little bit.
He is a local product, Mets fan growing up from Stony Brook, New York. Terrific fastball, has a very good power slider as he deals a fastball to Perez. First ball swinging, and it's out to center field. Cespedes is there for out number 1.
Well, let's check out the Menards Mets defense. A pretty good defensive unit, the 3rd fewest errors in all the National League. Conforto, Cespedes, and Granderson in the outfield. You got Campbell, Cabrera, Walker, and Duda from 3rd to 1st, and Rivera behind home plate, hanging the signs for Mets today.
No David Wright in the starting lineup for New York, dealing with a bad back once again. In and out of the lineup. Wright did start the last 2 games against Washington. Terry Collins saying just a maintenance day, just a day off for David Wright. Here's Jonathan Lucroy, and the first pitch from Matz to the Brewer catcher is in there for a strike. Lucroy comes in batting .304. 6 homers, 16 runs batted in. All 6 of those home runs coming in the month of May. He and Chris Carter are having a big month with the long ball for Milwaukee.
And a much-deserved day off for Lucroy in yesterday's ball game. The Brewers had 4 of their everyday guys out of the starting lineup in yesterday's game against the Cubs, which makes that win against Chicago even more sweet for Craig Counsell, able to rest some guys. Lineup has been without Ryan Braun 5 of the last 6 games.
At first, it was a right wrist injury for Braun, and then the last 3 games, it has been a balky back that he's dealing with. Craig Counsell said it's not quite disabled list time yet for Ryan Braun, but you can't play shorthanded too much as you go through the National League schedule. As a matter of fact, the Brewers, with Domingo Santana still nursing a sore shoulder, they felt like they had to put Santana on the DL because of Braun's situation. They probably would rather ride those 2 guys out, but you can't play 2-man short, especially 2 outfielders.
Yeah, especially in the National League where you have a lot of pinch hitting for the pitcher and moving guys in and out. You got double switches going on, and you're right. I mean, and plus I think they want to see Keon Broxton. He went down to the minor leagues and was swinging the bat very well, so you bring him up and make sure he's going to be playing just about every day.
Lucroy fouls one off. 1 ball, 2 strikes a count. Now, if you're just picking us up, just joining our broadcast tonight, Sophia Minard, our reporter, filling us in on the roster move as Domingo Santana was placed on the disabled list. Keon Broxton comes back from AAA Colorado Springs. So the Brewers have a very young outfield, or inexperienced outfield as far as being in a Brewer uniform. And you got a couple of left-handers in the lineup as well, as Lucroy swings and misses. Down he goes on strikes. And Matz picks up his first K, out number 2 of the first inning.
Yeah, fastball up and away out of the strike zone, and Jonathan not able to, hold up on it. And you see it. He wanted it upstairs. You can see Rivera setting up upstairs, and that's exactly where Matz threw it.
So 2 men are out. Runner at first, VR, and here is Chris Carter. Carter had a hit yesterday, was 1 for 4. He hit a 4th inning home run off Jason Hamill in yesterday's game. That tied the game. The Brewers beat the Cubs 5-3. Cubs jumped out ahead 2-0 early, and then the Brewers with a comeback. Junior Guerra went 7 innings, struck out 11 yesterday. And that is the most strikeouts for a Brewer starter this season. And for Guerra was a career best. VR takes all, pitch upstairs, and no chance to get VR, the National League leader in steals. VR with his 14th stolen base and gets himself into scoring position.
Man, it's not just VR. The Brewers are number 1 in the National League in stolen bases. They try to put the pressure on that defense as best they can. And that's an easy one for VR that time. Had a good jump. Typically tougher to get a jump on a left-hander, but he went first move.
VR with the most stolen base attempts in the major leagues, and it is interesting. This could be a great series for him if he continues to hit and get on base, because the Mets pitchers have allowed 33 stolen bases this season, the second most in the major leagues. As talented as they are, they do give up some stolen bases. That one's in the dirt, and VR's on his way to third. A wild pitch gets him there, and all the way around he goes. VR 90 feet away in this first inning, and Carter with a 2-2 count.
Yeah, that's a big breaking pitch from Matz, and when you call that, you know you're going to have to block it, just not able to keep it close. And you don't have to be too far away from the catcher for VR to be able to advance.
Matz deals it inside for a ball. 3-2 on Carter. Matz still classified as a rookie. Did come up last year. He won 4 games for the Mets last year. His career stats, he's 9-1 with a 2.56 earned run average. 5 of those wins coming this season. Carter in the air to center field. Cespedes on the run at the wall. Cespedes looks up. Goodbye. Chris Carter with a 2-out, 2-strike home run. A 2-run bomb to deep right center, and the Brewers have the early lead in Queens.
Yeah, he's starting to get that swing back. I mean, there was a stretch where he was having a difficult time, but they come in bunches for guys like Chris Carter. And that was a blast. You got to hit him to get him out of this ballpark. Fastball out over the plate. Matz missed his spot, and Chris Carter didn't miss it. And that's a 2-run shot for Carter. Boy, he can hit him.
Great power to center field and right field. And Chris Carter is on some kind of roll now. Tied for the National League lead in home runs. He joins the Mets center fielder, who he just knocked it over the head of, in Cespedes. Aaron Hill flies to right. Granderson will track it down, and that will retire the side. So Chris Carter delivers a 2-run shot. Brewers lead early in New York. 2-out, 2-run home run gives the Brewers the early lead. Just his second homer of the year against a left-handed pitcher. There's Terry Collins. He'll be managing the All-Star game this year, representing the National League. What a terrific season the Mets had last year. What a flurry at the finish. Curtis Granderson, Asdrubal Cabrera, Michael Conforto make up the top. Cespedes, Walker, and Duda in the middle with Eric Campbell, Rene Rivera, and Steven Matz rounding it out. Cespedes having a great year. He is the National League leader in homers. He's up there second in runs batted in. Willie Peralta, we showed you his numbers against the Mets in his career. They are very good. The numbers for the season this season, Rock, not so good, and Peralta still searching for the turnaround.
And the big culprit has been the slider. He's been very inconsistent with that pitch, making start number 9 last time out. Not very good for Willie.
Curtis Granderson into center field. Broxton coming in and will run it down. Good to get his first play out of the way on the first batter for the Mets. You know the nerves are flowing a little bit for Keon Broxton, just arriving from AAA.
Well, let's check out the rest of the Brewers defense, brought to you by Menards tonight. Presley and Neuenhuis on either side of Keon Broxton out in center field. Perez, VR, Hill, and Carter in the infield, and Jonathan Lucroy back behind home plate after getting yesterday off.
Broxton happy to be back in the big leagues. Put up some really good numbers in AAA Colorado Springs. Peralta facing Asdrubal Cabrera, former Indian, very slick fielding shortstop. Mets have been struggling. They're still over 500. They're 4 games over coming into play tonight at 22-18, but they just lost a series to the Washington Nationals, their rivals. Steven Strasburg beat Matt Harvey here yesterday. It was a blowout win for Washington. And Terry Collins and the Mets are searching for answers with Harvey specifically, with this little slide that the Mets are on. Mets right now 2.5 back of Washington and behind the Phillies.
Yeah, surprise, huh?
Big surprise team in the National League East. A swing and a miss. Cabrera on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Peralta. That's a good sign early for Willie.
Yeah, good life on that fastball, but that hasn't been the issue for Willie for the most part. It's been the other pitches. You know, change-ups, curveballs, and in particular the slider, very inconsistent, getting it down and in to lefties.
Up and in that time. Backs Cabrera out of there. Mets have kind of been known as a team to take a lot of walks, very patient, but that's not been the case this year. Their team walks numbers are down as Cabrera rolls one to the left side. That's Perez over there, and he'll make the play for out number 2. It's interesting, Rock, that this team is hitting a lot of home runs. They're the National League leader in home runs, but it's a different looking offense than what we're used to.
Yeah, they're first in home runs, but 12th in runs scored. They have been very bad with runners in scoring position, coming in 208 team batting average with runners in scoring position, and they've been striking out quite a bit. They don't run, they don't steal a lot of bases, and it's been the offense has been the culprit, but they are still within striking distance because of the pitching.
Here's Michael Conforto getting the start in left field tonight. One of the great young hitters in the game. Burst onto the scene last year. As you take a look at the Mets as a team and where they rank, those 56 home runs top the National League. ERA is 4th, and that is with the struggles of Matt Harvey. You take Matt Harvey out of the starting rotation, right, and their earned run average is pushing the Chicago Cubs, who lead the league in ERA.
Well, in their bullpen, the Mets bullpen, they lead the National League in bullpen earned run average. They're number 1.
2 balls, no strikes. Conforto lines one left center, a base hit. He's just a good hitter, and he looks like he's going to be a good hitter for a long, long time.
Yeah, stays right in there. Didn't try and pull it. That was that 2-seamer for Willie. And not a bad pitch. It might have been up a little bit, but Conforto went right with it off the end of the bat. There it is. I mean, that's not a bad pitch. I mean, you just tip your hat to the Conforto right there, just taking it into left field.
He was a star at Oregon State and had a lot of hype as he entered into the minor league system for the Mets. Finally called him up last year, and he was a difference maker last season for New York. And now the hottest Mets hitter steps in, Yoenis Cespedes. 13 homers, 33 runs batted in on the season. That home run that Chris Carter hit in the top of this first inning tied him with Cespedes for the National League lead in home runs. Second in runs batted in is Cespedes.
You see those numbers against Milwaukee, and just about every one of his home runs have been to left field. So you got to try and make him take it to the opposite field. I think one of his home runs have gone to center, everything else to left. Two of them.
There's the spray chart.
Or actually three. 3 out of 13 and nothing to right field.
And he has one of those batting stances that, from the pitcher's perspective, it appears there's some room inside because he's open, but he really closes and dives into the pitch. That's why he can hit an outside corner pitch. He can pull that ball very well. Look at that back foot, how close it is to the line.
Yeah, and that's how you determine how close he is to home plate, because that front foot will move.
Hits a rocket right at Aaron Hill. He makes the play for the final out. Almost took out an umpire out there as well. So Peralta puts up a 0. Brewers lead early, 2-0.
Carter's 2-run home run gives the Brewers a 2-0 lead as we head to the second. Kirk Neuenhuis coming up to the plate, and Neuenhuis got his start with the Mets, drafted by them in the 3rd round of the 2008 draft, made his debut with them in 2012, was here for 3 seasons and finished with them a year ago. So I asked him, he said, of course, it's always a little different anytime you come here as a visitor. He said he had to find his way around the visitor clubhouse, but said it is good to be back. He said once the game is underway, it's just back to business, and asked him about the postseason. He participated in both the NLCS and the World Series coming off the bench. He said it was just a crazy experience. The atmosphere was loud. It was fun. A terrific experience here.
All right, Sophia, thanks. And you know he is looking forward to coming back. Good memories here, but he didn't get an opportunity to be an everyday player, and he's getting that chance with the Brewers right now. He's always been labeled as a 4th outfielder, a good reserve, but he was part of a special season here with the Mets.
And he was thought very highly of amongst the people around this ballpark. You know, the broadcasters for the Mets, they wish him the best, and he liked his time here in New York. He said he lived right in the city most of the time he was here, and talk about exciting living in Manhattan, right?
Neuenhuis strikes out to start the 2nd inning. Craig Counsell forced to go with a few left-handers in the lineup today. He did sit Scooter Gennett for Aaron Hill, but he's got Neuenhuis and Alex Presley. The injuries to the outfield has forced his hand a little bit. And now Keon Broxton, who gets the call in center field. I'm going to give this guy a lot of credit. Broxton struggled in his first run in the big leagues with the Brewers. He made the opening day roster, first opening day roster of his career in the major leagues. And he didn't hit well. He struggled. He got wrapped up in the axle, as they say.
Yeah.
Went down to AAA and performed very well. Not just offensively, the numbers were solid, but he played a very good center field, and he gets the first callback from AAA.
And he did everything down there that the Brewers hope he can do here. I mean, hit for average, hit for power, steal bases, and we saw him in spring training how good he is taking care of center field. He can get about everything that stays in the ballpark.
A good outfield to have him roam, this big outfield at Citi Field. And Broxton cuts and misses. The fastball got him. And down he goes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Matz. His third strikeout.
Going right after him with fastballs. Fastball's up and right on the corner and swings right through it.
And what a great arm he has. Matz is being protected. Brock mentioned he had Tommy John surgery. He did not pitch for a little over 2 years, 2.5 seasons after he was drafted. He was drafted out of high school here in New York, Stony Brook area, and gets to sign with his hometown team, but had Tommy John surgery as a teenager, and so did not pitch a professional game until he was 21 years of age, and has gone up through the ranks in the Mets minor league system, finally surfacing in the big leagues last year.
And he spent a lot of time on the disabled list. I mean, it's hard to find a year that he has not been on the DL. And that's pretty much been the issue for him. He's 25 years old and in his second season.
He's got Presley in an 0-2 hole. 2 outs in the second. And Presley able to lay off. It is interesting to note that this year, and Matz has had a good year this year before they shut him down for one start, left-handed hitters are actually having more success than right-handed hitters. Lefties are hitting .344 against Matz, but only 1 extra base hit in that stretch. So a lot of singles from the lefties. And a little tapper. Matz makes the play. Nicely done. And the inning is over. 3 up and 3 down. Matz with a bounce back inning after surrendering a 2-run homer in the first.
2-0 Brewers, courtesy of a Chris Carter home run in the first inning. Hey, it's the Brewers and Cardinals next Monday, May 30th through Wednesday, June 1st, as they square off at Miller Park for the first time of 2016. Reserve your tickets at Brewers.com.
Flushing, Queens, Citi Field, the home of the Mets and site of the World Series last year, won by the Royals. New Met, Neil Walker, familiar face to Brewers fans, former Pittsburgh Pirates second baseman. Daniel Murphy ended up with the Nationals. Murphy is the league leader in batting average, by the way. And to replace him, the Mets signing Neil Walker, acquiring Neil Walker.
And Murphy actually hit a home run yesterday here at Citi Field.
Walker has big power. He's among league leaders in home runs coming in. Gives you great production offensively, power production from the second base position. Has 10 home runs. He's 8th in the National League in homers this season. And Peralta deals a strike. 2-2 the count on Walker. Hard to see him in any other uniform but a Pirates uniform. Walker's dad played for the Pirates. Neil's from Pittsburgh, was a high school football legend there, a quarterback.
The Pirates just didn't want to make the commitment to Neil Walker at second base, and at a time when the Pirates were giving long-term contracts to just about everybody. I'm not sure if he wanted to get traded, but that was the case.
Full count. And he doesn't bite on the slider, and it's a leadoff walk. So Walker is aboard. Second base runner against Peralta. Gave up a 2-out hit to Conforto last inning. And that'll bring up Lucas Duda.
Man, that's been a problem for Willie Peralta with that slider. Not able to get it over the confines of the plate and get it down in the zone with, to get a swing and a miss. He left that one in off the plate. You're not going to get too many swings when you do that.
Duda is having a down season this season. Does have 7 home runs, so he's hit for a little power. He's driven in 19. Batting average is low. On base percentage is low. On base percentage right now of .343 for Lucas Duda. I beg your pardon, it's .291. His career on base percentage is .343. So there are some concerns about Duda and what has been a bit of his trademark, that he hits for power and gets on base via the walk. He's kind of hovering around that .240 batting average for his career, and it's much lower this season to start the season.
Yeah, last couple of years, big home run totals. Last year 27, the year before 30. Never has been a guy to hit with the big average. You don't need it when you hit the homers.
Runner at first, nobody out. Duda lines one to left, a base hit. And on his way to third goes Walker. Lucas Duda with an opposite field single right off the end of the bat. First and third, nobody out for the Mets here in the second inning.
Yeah, neither one of the hits for the Mets in this game have been hit all that well, but put in pretty good spots. Almost identical to the pitch that Conforto hit into left field, and Duda goes right with it and dumps it down the line. Presley doing a good job getting to it quickly and keeping the double play in order. Duda has to stay at first base.
Well, Peralta fortunate he's at the bottom of the Mets batting order. I mentioned this team is struggling to score runs, especially in the month of May. They're averaging 2.7 runs per game this month. Matter of fact, they've scored just 13 runs over their last 7 games. Eric Campbell, a big swing and a miss.
And most of those runs coming on homers.
And that includes a trip through Colorado, where usually an offense gets right at Coors Field.
Yeah, and these are the situations where the Mets have not been very good this year. Runners in scoring position.
Campbell getting a lot of playing time these days, whether it be first, playing for Duda, who's been in and out with a back injury, or playing third base for David Wright. See the Mets lowest batting average in the National League with runners in scoring position. And a wave and a miss.
Surprised to see the Cubs on that list.
I think that's just from pure volume of base runners. Because they're up there among league leaders in runs scored.
Right.
Brewers are going to concede a run to turn 2. Peralta would love to get one on the ground here. First and third, nobody out. And a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Peralta with that power sinker.
Yeah, he just kept going to that pitch, and Jonathan Lucroy went to it right away, not messing around with a slider. He doesn't have enough confidence in that slider to keep throwing it with 2 strikes. He's been hanging him or bouncing him, and that's about as perfect as you can throw it. And off the plate, it started on the corner with that late movement, able to get him over the top. That's a nice pitch.
You know, and looking at that pitch compared to the pitch he threw to Duda, and even the pitch he threw to Conforto, both of those were off the end of the bat. They ended up as hits. But it looked like the difference with what you always talk about, run versus sink.
Right.
And that really had the sink down to the bottom of the zone. Ground ball to third. Only play is first base. Good play by Perez, but a run will score as Rene Rivera grounds out but drives in a run. Second out for Peralta. Rivera wasting no time, the former Padre.
And now you got the pitcher coming up. You go first and third, nobody out. There's the slider off the end of the bat for the Mets catcher, and no chance for a double play, even with the catcher running, but they get the out at first. Yeah, you start out an inning first and third, nobody out. You give up 1 run, you got to feel pretty good. Now he's got to get this out.
Steven Matz, the Mets pitcher. He can swing the bat a little bit. All of these Mets hitters are threats at the plate. Even Bartolo Colon is a threat at the plate now. Hit a home run in San Diego a few weeks ago. His first career home run at age 42. Well, not much you can do with a fastball like that.
Yeah, you keep that fastball in the hands like that to a pitcher, I don't think they're going to do too much damage.
Inning started with a walk. Duda had a little flare single to left. A strikeout and a ground out. Mets have a run in, 2 gone in the inning. And Matz chops one, got to hurry it up. He runs well. Perez can't make the play. And Matz will reach on an infield hit.
Yeah, once it got by Willie, it was going to be a tough play, and Perez tried to get it on the bare hand, not able to do it. But again, Matt's making contact, keeps the inning alive on a power sinker. Willie not able to get there, falling off toward first base. And that keeps the inning alive for the top of the order.
Now you think about the Mets' 3 hits. None of them have found the barrel of the bat. And now Peralta is going to have to bear down here. First and third, 2 men are out, back to the top of the order, and Curtis Granderson. Granderson, another Met with an extremely low on-base percentage. And for a guy hitting out of the leadoff spot, an on-base percentage at 288. He's hitting just 199 after he lined out in the first.
And hitting 120 with runners in scoring position.
First and third, 2 gone. And Granderson, foul ball. Oh, and 2 the count on Curtis. Up and in again. Granderson has some pop. He's hit 7 homers this year. He's always a scary at bat for a leadoff hitter because he's got some sneaky power.
There's a good slider right there. That's what he needs to throw. That slider down over the confines of the plate and get a swing, and Granderson able to stay alive. One thing I noticed about Willie today that we haven't seen too much out of him, he's throwing a lot of pitches inside to these hitters. That's a good slider right there, but really pounding the inside part of the plate. That's what this starting rotation has been doing in the last couple of times through. Getting in on some hands. Good fastballs inside.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Granderson. Thought about it, able to check his swing. Granderson last year hit 26 home runs for the Mets. There was a couple of years there when he was playing for the Yankees in that short porch in right center. He had back-to-back 40 homer seasons in the 3rd year of a 4-year deal with the Mets now. Been a good player for a long time. 3-time All-Star Curtis Granderson.
One of the big problems that the Mets have had, their leadoff hitter not able to get on base enough.
2-2 the count, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Peralta gets through the inning. A run does come in. 2-1 Brewers after 2 complete at Citi Field.
We head to the 3rd, and Craig Counsell addressing Ryan Braun's status as Braun misses his 3rd straight game with back tightness. Counsell saying that his status remains unchanged. He says Braun will continue to receive treatment on his back, hoping that they can get him going in the right direction, but he will be day-to-day throughout this series. Counsell said he wouldn't rule him out for the weekend, but said if we get through the weekend without any progress or without Braun feeling better with that back tightness, he said at that point we may have to reevaluate what to do.
And you can retroactive that situation too, so it does come into play when you're thinking about pinch hitting Braun or pinch running for Ryan Braun. As long as he doesn't play in a game, you can go back to the last game he played, and so if you don't feel like he needs a full 2 weeks, you can buy a little time for him. But it is a bit of a concern this early in the season that Braun has had a flare-up with the wrist and the back now, and he's missing his 5th game in the last 6. Peralta, the pitcher, leads off for the Brew Crew. 2-1 Milwaukee. Chris Carter hit a 2-run homer in the 1st. Mets just scored on an RBI ground out by their catcher, Rene Rivera. Steven Matz with a 3-up, 3-down 2nd inning. He struck out Neuenhuis Broxton in that inning. 3 punch-outs for the big lefty. And strikeout number 4. Down goes Peralta. Matt's had 10 days off between starts. And we talked about his Tommy John surgery when he was a teenager.
And because of that fact that he's come along in the Mets system, they've been very protective of him. Pitch count is going to be a pretty firm 100 at this point. Might not even allow him to get to that point if there are high stress pitches getting to 100. First pitch strikes, 9 out of 10 batters for Mets.
So what that tells you, go up there, if you're hitting against this guy tonight, getting up there ready to swing, he's throwing a lot of fastballs for strikes to get ahead, then mixing it up. No sense in waiting when the guy's throwing strikes like that at that rate.
Jonathan Villar had a single his last time up. He scored a run. He was on base when Carter went deep. Had a single and a stolen base, and he's the National League leader in steals coming in. Switch hitter.
And the only way you can lead the National League in steals is by getting on base on a consistent level, and he's been doing that. On base percentage almost 400. I mean, he's been terrific in that leadoff spot.
That had been Santana hitting leadoff for most of the year until the last homestand. As Villar takes a called strike 3, so another backwards K. And now Matt starting to dial it in a little bit. His 5th strikeout, 4 in the last 5 hitters. What a rotation, Rock. This is with Matt Harvey's struggles aside, this is one of the top 5-man starting rotations in all of baseball.
And you got some major hard throwers in that. You can see include Steven Matz in that. I mean, he's throwing 95 today. Bartolo Colon is kind of the odd man out in that power game in that starting rotation, but he has been very good for the Mets.
Hernan Perez into left center. Conforto is over. And a quick inning for Mats. 3 up, 3 down. He's retired 7 straight since Chris Carter homered off of him.
Fastball, whether it gets a tail on it or the power sinker, you get sink on it. Now we've got 2 different at-bats, 2 different pitches put together in the same frame. You can see the one on the left, the one to Lucas Duda is going to stay up and really not sink too much. That one right there to the right, he's able to hit that one. Now Campbell, the one, looks like he got on top of it a little bit better with his fingers, and he got some downward action on it. We're not talking about a foot of movement. We're talking subtle. Maybe an inch or 2, and that's all it takes to have a difference between a swing and a miss or a ground ball or a base hit.
Well, that's a great look at that. Good job by our crew giving you the differences for Willie Peralta, and a fraction here or there, an inch on a pitch makes all the difference in the world when you're talking about the sweet spot of the bat versus the end of the bat or a complete swing and miss like Eric Campbell had.
Get a guy on top and beat it into the ground. You know, I've heard they say that it's a game of inches, this game of baseball.
That's a good one. I think I've heard that a time or two, but it really showed up in that little projection you showed us there. Nicely done, Rock. Asdrubal Cabrera leads off for the Mets.
It's amazing the technology that you have, right? I mean, you talk about it all day long. You talk about when a guy gets on side of a pitch and it doesn't really sink, but you can see clearly right there the difference in the movement, and it does make a big difference.
Hot ground ball over to Hill. So Peralta comes back down 3-0. He gets Cabrera out number 1 here in the third. And that'll bring up Michael Conforto. The Mets desperately need Conforto to be one of their offensive stars. He's here to hit. He is a premier bat. And when David Wright's not in there, he is the guy that'll hit third. Came into tonight hitting just 158 in the month of May. 4th lowest batting average among qualifiers. Now, he had a great April. Hit 365 to start the year in the first month. You put a whole season together, you figure the numbers will be there, but Conforto, a young hitter. I think the thing that has set him apart from a lot of young hitters is the fact he has been so consistent since coming up to the big leagues, but he's been streaky in each of the first 2 months this year.
Well, most hitters are. They're going to be streaky. You're not going to hit 370 every month of the season, so it's what you do and how you are able to contribute to your team offensively when you are hitting $1.50, 150, and really not getting the hits. Are you making contact? Are you advancing base runners? Sacrifice flies. You just got to figure out ways to help when you're not getting base hits. Maybe draw a couple of walks, and more importantly, I guess, play some pretty good defense.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and he tied him up. Fastball up and in. Conforto strikes out.
You see a pattern here tonight with Willie. A lot of pitches in, and he's been watching the rest of this rotation and the success that they've been having pitching inside with the fastball, not messing around. You don't have to, go away with everything all the time. Zach Davies doesn't throw hard. Chase Anderson really effective on the inside part of the plate. We saw that yesterday with Junior Guerra. Jimmy Nelson does it. So Willie's starting to pound that inside corner a little bit. Good to see.
So 2 men are out, and here is Cespedes now. He hit a missile to second base in the first inning. Hit it right at Hill. That was the final out of the first. Brewers got 2 on a Chris Carter 2-run home run with 2 outs in the first. Came with 2 strikes off Steven Matz. And then the Mets scored in the bottom of the second. Cespedes fouls it away.
Really got away with one right there, right? Hanging slider. But it was away. And you leave that middle in, I think Cespedes might hit it out of the ballpark.
1 ball, 1 strike. Now, one thing I've noticed on Peralta as well tonight, he's always had that little tap in his glove, but it seems extreme tonight. That right there, pulling the ball out, and then a rhythm thing, I suppose.
His rhythm, his pace has been good. He's been on balance after he gets rid of the baseball. Yeah, I guess you don't want to take the baseball too far out of your hand, or hitters are going to be able to see your grip. You've got guys in the dugout trying to pick up anything they can to get an advantage. So, Willie's always had that, but yeah, you're right. I guess it's a little bit more extreme right now. Of course, it's not enough for anybody to be able to see it.
And his sinking fastball is very good tonight. And he's starting to dial it in now. That was a toe buster there on Yoenis Cespedes. Two the count. 2 outs in the inning. Peralta looking for his first 3-up, 3-down inning of the game. And he strikes him out with a slider. That's about as good as it gets from Willie Peralta. Back-to-back strikeouts, 4 punch-outs for the game. Chris Carter, he'll hit second. Had a 2-run homer his last time up. The 4th, in support of May, is Mental Health Month. Fox Sports Supports proud to team up with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and their commitment to improving the lives of families and those affected by mental health conditions. Go to foxsportssupports.com for more information. Steven Matz facing Jonathan Lucroy to start the Brewer half of inning number 4. Lucroy, Carter, and Hill coming up.
Anything better than the smell of fried onions at the ballpark? Honestly.
As Lucroy rolls slowly to Cabrera. Got a very strong arm, and he makes a play for out number 1.
No, it's all about the bread here in the Northeast. The water. Yeah, it's good.
Wait, the bread or the water?
No, the water that's used to make the bread.
To make the bread.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Come on.
Not to interrupt you, Rock, about the bread, but Chris Carter going deep in the first inning.
Keep doing that. He's going to make some dough going down the road.
Okay, here we go. I was waiting for that.
Speaking of bread.
Powerball home run, count number 13. I mean,
you know, it is
you've been
about,
sitting on that for a while.
No, it is about the bread up here.
I believe you. You're from these parts, so whatever you say, man.
Yeah.
What a month he's having. Chris Carter has 8 home runs in the month of May. And he hits that one on the handle. And it's caught by Campbell for out number 2. Boy, got in on his hands. 2 up, 2 down for Matz.
Yeah, slider that got in on him, but Chris elevates a little bit. It might be a double down that line.
Matz is retired 9 in a row now. After that Carter homer. 2 hits allowed, both coming in the first. Here's Aaron Hill. The Brewers as a team lead the National League in home runs in May. 3rd in the major leagues in May in homers. Right now the Rays, the Red Sox, and the Brewers are the top 3 in the month. Carter has 8 homers in the month. Lucroy with 6. You know who leads all of Major League Baseball for home runs in May as an individual? Chris Davis, former Brewer, now in Oakland.
Red hot. We're going to see him at Miller Park pretty soon.
Yeah, coming up in early June. Aaron Hill rolls over 1 to 3rd. Campbell all the way across the diamond. Close play, but Hill is out. And it's 3 up and 3 down for Matz, and he's retired 10 straight now. Brewers got him early. They lead it 2-1. Mets are coming up, bottom of the 4th.
Bottom of the fourth, and greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. With all of the attention on reigning National League Cy Young Award winner Jake Arrieta on the south side, Chris Sale continues to dominate for the White Sox. At 9-0, he leads all of Major League Baseball with wins. You see the earned run average, just 158 for him, 62 strikeouts as well. Mike Trout, as hot as ever, a 444 average for him, 3 home runs over the last 7 games, and maybe more important for the Angels, they've gone 6-1 in that stretch. And the San Francisco Giants are on a streak of their own, an 8-game winning streak, good for a 25-18 record overall.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Good news and notes from around baseball. Saw where the Angels signed Tim Lincecum officially today, the former Giant. Going to be pitching in Anaheim now, past his physical. Neil Walker leads off for the Mets, 2-1 Brewers. And Peralta looks sharp tonight.
And he's starting to really throw that slider down and in very well, too. That was a nice slider that he threw to Cespedes to get him on strikes.
And he's got Walker 0-2. Goes back to that slider. Lucroy with a little vote of encouragement there as he postured his glove towards Peralta, saying that's exactly where I wanted it. Good feedback from your catcher, I suppose.
Yeah, encouragement.
That one's lined, but right to Perez. The shift was on. The Brewers with 2 strikes put Perez on that side of the infield, and it paid off.
There's been a lot of pitches in on these hitters, both lefties and righties. It's good to see. I mean, that shows a sign of confidence when you know that or feel that you can really work inside. Look at Lucroy setting up inside, and although that pitch leaked over the middle of the plate a little bit, you know, the fact that he was inside and Walker hit it hard, but right at, you know, Perez.
Defensive shift pays off.
Not a lot of room for error when you pitch inside. He really hasn't made too many mistakes yet.
Duda has one of the hits for the Mets, one of the 3. Conforto, Duda, and Matz, and none of them have hit the barrel. Duda's was right off the end of the bat. It's interesting how the Brewers, for some players, have a shift on for the entire at-bat. For others, only when the hitter gets to 2 strikes, like we saw with Neil Walker. Duda, center field, and hang it up for Broxton for out number 2.
Well, it's basically guys that they feel might bunt for a base hit over there. They keep Perez home at third. They're not expecting Lucas Duda, a big home run hitter, to do that.
Craig Counsell and his team very much into the analytics, and they keep a lot of the numbers on the hitters and the spray charts, ground balls, even by particular pitch. And so the defense suits not just the hitter, but it also suits the pitcher versus the hitter. And there's a lot of data that ends up in the hands of Craig Counsell and Carlos Subero, the Brewers infield coach, who's in charge of registering all that information and then simply letting the players know where to set up. The players don't really look at all the numbers, but Subero, the entire game, he and Ed Cedar standing next to each other, positioning the infielders, and Ed Cedar positioning the outfielders.
Yeah, giving them just enough information, you know, for them to be able to move around. It's the responsibility of the coaches to really position the guys. They don't look too much at the scouting report. They just say, look at me, I'll tell you where to go.
And don't tell those 2 guys that the game moves slowly.
Right.
Because not only are they base coaches, so they're in charge of the opposition's outfield arms and cutoff player arms, and they have to know who can run and who can't, but they're in charge of the defensive positioning as well.
Have you ever sat in the dugout for a game?
There's a strike called.
It's not slow in the dugout.
Campbell is gone. Willie Peralta, back-to-back 3 up, 3 down innings. He's retired 7 straight.
Citi Field, home of the New York Mets. Brewers up 2-1. It's a double kids promotion at Miller Park on Sunday, May 29th, as the Brewers take on the Cincinnati Reds. Kids 14 and under eat free, plus they'll also get a paint your own burn eat bobblehead courtesy of Waterstone Bank. Reserve your spot today at brewers.com.
Speaking of paint, how about that sunset out there? All the beautiful colors of the sunset. And a plane taken off from LaGuardia. You'll hear the planes every now and then. They are always a presence here at Citi Field, which was built in the parking lot of Shea Stadium. They got a couple of apples here now. They've got the Citi Field apple that is in center field that rises up for home runs, and then they have the original Shea Stadium apple, which is out front. You can take your picture in front of that landmark. That's a good meeting spot. Not that one, that's in center field, but the one out front.
So you tell people I'll meet you at the apple?
Meet you at the apple, that's right. Kurt Neuenhuis, the former Met. Glad to be back here, and I'm sure there's a little bit to Kurt Neuenhuis's return that he wants to prove the team that let him go wrong. Brewers were able to claim Neuenhuis on waivers this offseason, meaning the Mets took him off their major league roster. They were trying to sneak him by and send him to the minor leagues. Matt strikes him out. He's had a good month of May, but he's 0 for 2 tonight with a couple of strikeouts against his former teammate.
Yeah, hit the big home run in yesterday's ball game to help beat the Cubs at Miller Park. I guess the more playing time you get, the more productive you become. I mean, what comes first, right? The chicken or the egg? I guess that's what Kean Broxton's thinking right now.
Yeah, he's trying to get something going quickly here so he can stay in the big leagues. A lot of pressure on a player like Keon Broxton, a bit of a late bloomer. Still a lot of questions whether he'll hit at the major league level, and he hears all that. He's hit at all the other levels, had good success at AAA when he had to go back down. Craig Counsell told him he was proud of him for returning to AAA and succeeding right away. It is easy to sulk or pout or get wrapped up in that mental wheel when you get sent down from the big leagues.
But I think he realized that was the best thing for him at the time.
Broxton trying to stay alive. Little fly ball to right, and Granderson will run it down. 2 up and 2 down.
Yeah, wasn't getting consistent playing time. I think now that they brought him up with Santana on the disabled list, you make the commitment to the kid and you throw him out there and you let him sink or swim, and giving him consistent at bats. I'm not talking about every single day, but 5 out of 7 days he wasn't getting that kind of playing time to start the season.
Saw Matz there looking at his middle finger on his left hand. I wonder if he's developing a blister. Certainly hadn't affected him on the mound. He's retired 12 straight, facing Alex Presley. Matz had that long break, shut him down for 1 start, came back, had a bullpen. He had a little tenderness in the elbow around to the forearm, and for a guy who's already had a Tommy John surgery, the Mets very cautious with him.
It seems to have worked. He's throwing the baseball pretty well.
They skipped his turn in Colorado, so didn't pitch against the Rockies. He won his last game. He beat the Dodgers on May 9th. Matter of fact, he's won 5 straight.
And in those 5 games, he's given up a combined 4 runs. The Brewers put a 2 spot on them in the first inning.
The last Mets pitcher to win 6 straight starts was R.A. Dickey, who won a Cy Young Award here for the Mets. He's got Presley in a hole, 1 and 2. And a little tapper foul. Alex finding a lot of playing time these days with Braun on the shelf. He's hit 3 homers. He's driven in 10. Oh for 1 tonight. Had a ground out back to the mound. Matt's actually made a pretty good play on him. Otherwise, it might have been an infield hit. 1-2 pitch to Cabrera. Smooth shortstop makes a play to end the inning. And for Steven Matz, 13 straight retired since Carter's home run.
We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Willie Peralta has been very good so far tonight, and he has really established the inside part of the plate. I mean, getting strikeouts, coming inside. We really haven't seen Willie Peralta come inside this much in any one of his starts, and I guess he's figuring I got to do something different, and he's been doing that. Everything inside has been very good. Interestingly enough, 2 of the 3 hits that he's allowed have come on fastballs away. You know, the one to Conforto, the one to Duda. Pitches away that they're able to dump into left field. So working inside, effective tonight.
4 innings for Peralta. And first man up is Rene Rivera. He has batted twice. He's seen 2 pitches. Had a ground out and an RBI his last time up. And he's gone on the first pitch to start this 5th inning. The Atanasios are here. Mark and Debbie. They've got a lot of family and friends in the area, both Mark and Debbie from New York. And it's good to see the Brewers ownership here at the ballpark tonight. David Stearns is with the team as well, the Brewers general manager, who's also a native New Yorker. I'm sure it's an exciting moment for him to be a big league GM and return to his homeland.
Yeah, Mark and Debbie keeping a close eye on what's going on in Milwaukee from Los Angeles. They've been to Milwaukee on occasion, but we usually see them in New York.
Peralta's got Matz down 1-2. Matz had an infield single his last time up, so the 3 hits, 2 of them off the end of the bat, Conforto and Duda, and then the infield hit, the little jam shot out towards third base for Matz. Peralta's been really good tonight, and he needed it.
And he's not done yet. I mean, the Brewers starting rotation has been very effective, keeping the opposition off the board and eating up innings. In the last 4 starts for the Brewers, they've been able to get into the 7th inning at least.
Been a great run of starting pitching for the Brewers. We saw Chase Anderson take a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the Cubs. He went 8 2/3 that night, got his 2nd win of the year. Jimmy Nelson pitched 8 innings. The next night did not allow an earned run, and then Junior Guerra yesterday, maybe the surprise start of the season, 7 innings and a season high 11 strikeouts. Career best for Junior Guerra, the 31-year-old rookie. Full count to Mets. Center field hit well. Long run for Broxton. And he will run it down. He got a great jump. That ball was tagged by the Mets pitcher.
Yeah, it was.
It's one of the better hit balls of the night for the Mets.
Well, it was a fastball up down the middle. You mentioned that Mats can swing the bat a little bit. Well, Broxton playing shallow, but able to go back right in front of the warning track and make the catch. Well, nice to be able to have that kind of speed. You can play shallow. More hits are going to fall in front of you in the outfield than over your head, and Broxton very comfortable going back.
Top of the order here is Granderson batting for the third time against Peralta. Has a line out and a strikeout. He struck out with runners at the corners to end the second inning. Peralta got him with one of those, a high fastball. Back inside goes Willie. And now it's 1-2 on Granderson. 2-run homer, Chris Carter in the first. Mets got a run on a ground out by Rivera in the second. That's been the scoring thus far. And one thing Willie Peralta has been able to do tonight, he's got the Mets in swing mode. He's throwing a lot of strikes now. He had a number of 2-ball and 3-ball counts early in the game. And he's been on the attack.
I'd like to know how many fastballs he's thrown on the outer half of the plate. Not too many. 2 of the hits he's given up were away. Everything inside.
Back in there goes Lucroy, and Granderson whistles it over to second. Aaron Hill right there on a hop to make the play. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. Peralta going along well. 10 straight retired.
It's a 2-1 lead for the Brewers as we head to the 6th, and you can join the Brewers Community Foundation in their season-long effort to make a difference in our community by purchasing 50/50 raffle tickets at every home game. Proceeds support nonprofit organizations in the areas of health, education, recreation, and basic needs. One lucky fan takes home half of the game day ticket sales.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Here we go to the Brewer half of inning number 6. And both of these pitchers are in lockdown mode right now. Mats and Peralta. Mats is retired 13 straight. Has 6 strikeouts tonight. Willie Peralta is retired 10 in a row with 5 punch-outs. All the runs coming early. Brewers got 2 in the first. Mets scored their run in the second. And Mats makes quick work of Peralta. Struck him out on 3 pitches. 7th strikeout for Steven Matz.
Hey, let's check out tonight's time of the game winner. It's McCartney Corners in Cassville. Cassville is southwest part of the state, you know, just west of Platteville. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
I feel like I've driven by that on my way to Iowa City.
Yeah, it's right on the Mississippi River, not far from Dubuque.
Well, we say hi to all the folks watching down there tonight.
McCartney
Cassville.
Corners. Yep.
Good to have you. Brewers starting a series with the Mets in New York and then off to Atlanta for 3. There'll be a day off Monday. 6-game road trip before the Brewers return home. Jonathan VR at the plate, presented by Blaze Pizza. Turns on that one. Fly ball into left. Long run Conforto, and he'll run it down for the out.
Yeah, got that one on the handle. Yeah, gave it a pretty good ride down the line and left, but just didn't get all of it.
And 2 quick outs for Matz. That'll bring up Hernan Perez. Matz was a 2nd-round draft pick out of high school. He signed, he was injured, had the ligament replacement surgery. He's a hometown kid, and he's part of this very talented group of young pitchers. The Brewers are going to see Matz tonight. Tomorrow they've got DeGrom, the former Rookie of the Year, best hair in the big leagues. And then Sunday is Noah Syndergaard, who's rivaling DeGrom for the best hair in the big leagues.
But you're giving it to DeGrom?
Oh, I'm giving it to DeGrom.
Why is that?
It's I think it's the body. It's the full body. There's a base hit. Finally, the Brewers get a man on, breaking the string of 15 consecutive retired by Matz.
Yeah, left a breaking ball up right down the middle of the plate, and as usual, Perez thinking center field. Here it is, up in his eyes, and he did a nice job waiting back and shooting it right back into center field. A hanging curveball. Matz hasn't made too many mistakes with that pitch tonight.
Well, it'll give Jonathan Lucroy a swing here in the 6th inning. Pitch count for Matz in great shape. Remember, we told you they are on a pretty strict limit with him today. He certainly won't be going over 100. And more like in the 90 range if they can help it, because he did miss his last start. He has been efficient thus far.
Yeah, most pitches he's thrown, it was 3 starts ago, 110. That was against the Giants.
Lucroy down 0-1. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Strikeout and a ground out. Runner goes. Throw to second is on the bag, but not in time. Hernan Perez steals second base. That is number 6 for Perez.
Well, as usual on a close play, the Mets are want to take a look at it, and Terry Collins thinks that he's out. Yeah, big lead, a decent jump, and Perez not a base burner. Boy, pretty close.
Yeah, where did the tag get him? It looked like he caught a spike as he was going in for the slide.
Kind of stuck in there a little bit. It's going to be tough to tell, but he was able to get that foot down there. This will be the one that shows it pretty well. No, I don't know. It's going to be close.
Yeah, call on the field. Mets fans are seeing the same replay you just saw. Call on the field is safe. And I think, looking at that, this has got a chance to be overturned here. Again, I think if Perez slides cleanly into the bag, doesn't dig the spike into the ground, he's going to be safe, but it slowed him down a lot. Here comes the call, and he's out. Overturned. Inning over. So take the stolen base off the board. And it is a caught stealing for Rene Rivera. The inning is over with Lucroy standing at the plate.
On Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business.
Sun is set, lights are up full candle here at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens. 2-1. Brewers lead the Mets. Chris Carter with a 2-run homer in the first inning. Came with 2 out and 2 strikes off Steven Matz. And Peralta is pitching a gem thus far. He's given up the 1 run, which came in on a ground out. Gave up a couple of flare hits, but it was a leadoff walk in that second inning that ended up costing him a run. Asdrubal Cabrera leads off for the Mets. He'll be followed by Conforto and then Cespedes. And a key inning for Peralta. Brewers have played a number of very close, low-scoring games here recently. Yesterday's win over the Cubs, a 5-3 victory. They beat the Cubs on Tuesday 4-2, lost 2-1 in that extra inning game, that 13-inning game on Wednesday. It's been that kind of run. The pitching has been superb.
Yeah, good pitching, right? If the guys aren't pitching very well, then those are all going to be losses. If you don't score a lot of runs, you're typically going to lose. That's the way it was early in the season. And now the starting rotation is starting to come around. Things are starting to turn around a little bit.
Cabrera swings and lines one into right, a base hit. Mets get a lead man on, a single by their shortstop, his first hit of the night, and the first hit for the Mets since the second inning. Peralta had retired 10 in a row. Carsoup.com trivia tonight. Prior to last season, who was the last Mets manager to lead the team to the World Series? Good question. Last time the Mets were in the postseason and all the way to the World Series, a famous World Series. Not a lot of travel time in that World Series.
Right.
Here's Conforto. Brewers put the big shift on for the young lefty. 3 infielders on the right side. Keep VR, the shortstop, in his normal position. They move Perez over to the second base position up the middle, and that's Hill covering the hole. Milwaukee is one of the shiftiest teams in the big leagues. Kind of changes day by day, but it's the Astros and Rays. Brewers are in that group.
Shifty in the physical sense.
Yeah, the literal sense. It's not a character question.
Right, yeah. It's got to be real tempting for Conforto to just push one down the line. I mean, nobody out. You got a man at first. And Cespedes and Walker coming up. And nobody even close to that third base line.
First time Peralta's pitched out of the stretch since the second inning.
Why wouldn't you, right? Get a base hit, you get another man on.
2-1 count, and Conforto lifts it in the air to left. That ball's hit well. Presley going back, tracking it. It's gone. A home run. Michael Conforto puts the Mets on top.
And that's why you don't bunt down the line. When you can do that, take it to the opposite field. There are no cheapies in this ballpark, particularly when you hit him to the opposite field.
Home run number 7 for Conforto. Boy, what power he has.
And another pitch on the outer half of the plate. I mean, the Mets have done a lot of damage on these pitches away. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, Lucroy's sitting up outside. He hasn't done that all that often with fastballs. He's set up on the outside corner. It leaked over the middle, and Conforto knocked it out of the ballpark.
Now Cespedes. A single and a homer has the Mets on top 3-2. Michael Conforto, 7 homers, 23 runs batted in.
And Cespedes turns it around, a base hit. So Peralta giving up some hard hit balls in this 6th inning. All 3 have been hit on the barrel. Cespedes continues to hit.
You see, 3rd time through the batting order, I think Willie and Lucroy thinking maybe we should just switch our approach. I mean, they're looking inside, maybe come back out on the outer half of the plate, and certainly hasn't worked too well. A lot of success coming inside, but pitches away, not so much. Particularly the fastball away.
Derek Johnson going through the game plan here for Peralta. You always wonder when a pitching coach comes out, is he looking back? Is he talking about the last 2 or 3 hitters, or is he looking forward? What to do to the next?
Looking forward. You don't go out there and talk about what he's just done and the mistakes he's made. You stay positive out there. Let's get back to doing what you were doing early in the ball game. I think he's gone away from that a little bit this inning.
So Peralta running into some trouble here in the 6th inning. The bullpen is active. Carlos Torres starting to throw. Cruising along through the first 5. First 3 hitters of this 6th inning with base hits. Conforto, the 2-run homer. And there's a hook to Neil Walker. Gets ahead of him quickly. Mets now have 6 hits in the game. 3 coming to start this inning. Hits have been a problem for Peralta, giving up a ton of hits at this point. 37 hits allowed for Willie in 22 innings. Peralta looking for the ground ball. Would love to get a double play here. Get this inning moving his direction. And it's low. 2 balls and a strike. Neil Walker's been in a bit of an RBI drought. This entire Mets team has struggled to produce runs. Walker has just 1 ribby in the month of May.
Yeah, they drive in their runs the way Conforto just did with the home run ball.
Walker fouls it off. So that'll even the count at 2-2. Pitch count starting to become a factor for Peralta. His next one will be his 97th pitch. Still nobody out in the 6th. Got a runner at first. Shift is on for Walker. Planning to pull. And he takes ball 3.
Well, let's see what he does with his fastball right here. You figure that Cespedes might be running on the pitch. Let's see if he goes back to that fastball in.
Long look. Peralta and Lucroy trying to come together, and Walker asks for time. Big pitch for Peralta in his start tonight. Now down a run. There goes Cespedes. Pitch is a strike. Throw to second is a strike. Strike him out, throw him out, double play as Peralta strikes out Walker and Lucroy cuts down Cespedes at second base.
Yeah, Cespedes just gave up. He didn't even bother sliding, and Perez dropped the tag on him. Yeah, good pitch. It was a fastball to Neil Walker. He just took it, and a good throw by Lucroy. You know, to get the strike him out, throw him out. Look at the transition. He squares those feet up a little bit, and Cespedes just gives up. I'm out.
Right down the middle.
Yeah.
With a fastball.
And you wonder why Cespedes, he looked in, he saw the strike 3, and he stopped.
Same pitch in there for a strike. Gets ahead of Lucas Duda. 6 strikeouts for Peralta. That is a season high for him.
I've had a 2-5 put out on the steal of second base.
Right. With Perez over on the shift. Yeah, your scorebook entries nowadays with all of the shifting can deceive you.
Yeah.
I'm still working on a shorthand way to indicate that the shift was on.
You got to remember.
It's all about memory, which is fine on the day of.
Yeah.
It's when you get into a week or two in the past.
But if you look back, maybe 3 years from now, and you look at Cespedes trying to steal second, and it's 2-5.
Right. Then you think to yourself,
could have happened there.
What was that going on? I think that hit him. Is it a swing is the question. It is not. And Duda will reach first. The swing counts first, but he checked it, and that'll be a hit batter.
Hit him in the foot. Craig Counsell wants to make sure. They did ask. They asked the third base umpire if it was a swing, and he said no. That's what Counsell was.
It is reviewable.
Yeah, hit him right on the side of the foot, the back foot.
And that's why they call it a back foot slider. Yeah, clearly hit him.
Yeah, not even close. Yeah.
So, a hit by pitch will bring Eric Campbell to the plate. 6th inning has been a struggle for Peralta. 2 runs are in, gave up 3 hits to start the inning. Michael Conforto with an opposite field 2-run homer to give the Mets the lead. Peralta has had Campbell's number tonight. He has struck him out twice, and mostly fastballs against Campbell. Falls behind him now, 2-1. Peralta in the first 5 innings had allowed just 4 base runners. He's allowed 4 in this inning alone. 2 have scored. Snaps another slider off in there for a strike.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's been able to handle Campbell pretty well with the fastball. It's been pretty much all sliders in this at bat.
2-2 pitch. Back to the slider. It goes full, 3-2. And now Duda will be off with the pitch. Didn't get him to bite. I don't know, partner.
Yeah.
You have so much success with a fastball, and then all of those sliders. I mean, Campbell wasn't even close to hitting his fastball.
No, he threw one fastball in that at bat. He got ahead with the slider. It was an 0-1, and then he threw a fastball. He missed, and then nothing but sliders after that.
And Peralta will have to exit. So he's out. Counsell takes the ball. Peralta's night ends with a hit batter and a walk, and he's on the hook for the loss right now. Carlos Torres is coming in. We'll set him up after this.
On Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly.
Beautiful City Field, the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. That front of the ballpark there is a replica of Ebbets Field, the home of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and why they call it the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. Tough way out for Willie Peralta. He was rolling along, looking like his best start of the season, and then he runs into a block in the 6th. 2 runs in the 6th inning. He is now on the hook for the loss. 5 2/3 for Peralta. And here is Carlos Torres now.
Yeah, kind of a head scratcher. I mean, the whole pattern, the whole plan was changed 3rd time through. It didn't work. As Carlos Torres on, he took a loss in that Wednesday game against the Cubs. That was a 13-inning loss that the Brewers suffered. But a lot of success for Willie Peralta coming inside in the first 5 innings, and all of a sudden they kind of decided to do a little bit differently, and he gave up a couple of runs.
Peralta ends with a season high 108 pitches. At one point had retired 10 in a row. 2 runners his responsibility out there. 2 men are out. Rene Rivera. One of his best big league moments came against Milwaukee. Rivera back in August of 2014 not only hit a 2-out game-tying home run off Francisco Rodriguez, then he won it the next inning. Little ground ball to Carter. Torres is there for him, and that will retire the side. So the Mets get a 2-run homer by Conforto. 3-2 New York.
With the crew and enjoy 50% off select tickets plus 414 special concession pricing. That's Friday, May 27th through Monday, May 30th as the Brewers take on the Reds and Cardinals. Learn more at brewers.com/madness.
Looking forward to that homestand. The Brewers have 3 here in New York against the Mets, 3 in Atlanta, and then home over Memorial Day weekend with the Reds and the Cardinals. Got a few day games in that homestand as well. Matter of fact, Brewers will play 4 day games of the 6 coming up on the next homestand. Steven Matz back at it and now pitching with the lead. Lucroy was at the plate when Perez was caught stealing. Originally he was called safe. They overturned it in review. So Lucroy leads off this 7th. Lucroy's had his struggles against lefties this year. He's hitting just 132 against left-handed pitching compared to 367 against right-handers. 0 for 2 tonight against Matz.
And this is the 15th game that the Brewers have had with a left-handed starter. That's a lot already. They're 7-7. So the success against lefties, not so much beating the left-hander, but in games that it started by a left-hander, the Brewers are 500.
And the Brewers overall 5 games under 500. Lucroy in the air to left. Did he get it? Back is Conforto with room. Just got under it. And a long, loud out for Jonathan Lucroy. 1 away in the 7th. Now Chris Carter briefly had a share of the National League lead for homers. He tops the Brewers list on the Powerball home run leaderboard. Nolan Arenado has homered for the Rockies tonight. He's got 14 now. Killing it in Colorado. Carter with 13, tied with Cespedes. 8 of them coming in the month for Chris Carter. And you think about his month of May, he had an 0 for 23 streak in the month of May at the plate.
Right.
And yet still very productive.
They come in bunches. I mean, that's the way Chris Carter is. He's probably going to be that way throughout his career. And when he's not seeing the ball all that well, it's feast or famine, right?
That's what it looks like all across baseball. You got Chris Davis of the A's, who has 9 May home runs. 3 of those came in 1 game earlier in the week, as Matz strikes out Carter for the 2nd out. 8 punch outs for Steven Matz.
I'm not sure. I think that might have been a changeup that was up and in. That's not where you normally want it. Wasn't by design, but check it out. Maybe not. Yeah, curveball actually. That was kind of just floated up there. He took a little bit off of it. 77 miles an hour, and looked like Carter kind of tied himself up trying to wait too long.
Aaron Hill on the first pitch pops it up. Rivera's got a play, and that is the inning. Matz is just cruising right now. Pitch count in good shape. 3 up, 3 down, 7. Mets lead the Brewers 3-2. Coming up here as stretch time has arrived in New York. Steven Matz, Willie Peralta. Matz has gone 7, 8 strikeouts. He gave up a 2-run home run to Chris Carter. That came in the very first inning. It was with 2 outs, and it was on a 2-strike pitch. That's been it against Steven Matz. He's only allowed 1 base runner since the first. Brewers had a 2-1 lead until the 6th. Michael Conforto, a 2-run home run, opposite field. 2-run homer to give the Mets a 3-2 lead. And another close game. Matz has the lead now. Only 88 pitches for Steven Matz. You figure he's got about 100 to work with tonight after the Mets skipped his last start. He's had 10 days between outings.
And you'd probably like to think that you get this starting rotation out of the game and you get some work done against the bullpen, but the Mets bullpen has been very good this year, the best as far as earned run average goes in the National League.
As soon as we say that about Matz, Terry Collins is going to send up a pinch hitter for him, so his night is over. Alejandro De Aza will pinch hit for Matz. So the young lefty goes 7, 2 runs, both earned, and the 8 strikeouts. Did not walk a batter. He faced 3 over the minimum tonight. Matter of fact, he faced 2 over the minimum. The third hit, the one by Perez, Hernan was caught stealing to end the inning. And now De Aza with a base hit. So the pinch hitter comes up with a single to start the inning on Carlos Torres.
And after that first inning, Steven Matz was pretty much unhittable. I mean, just pouring in the strikes, plowing through the Brewers batting order. 2 of the 3 hits came in at first, but that was pretty much it. Looking to win his 6th straight unless the Brewers get something going here.
Matz coming in with a record of 5-1. Lost his first start of the year. Counsell going to the home plate umpire Jim Wolf, and we'll have a double switch here as Torres will be lifted in the 7th. Aaron Hill made the last out, and Scooter Gennett will come in to play defense, and Chris Capuano is coming in to pitch. So Torres is out. Double switch for Counsell. We'll take a timeout to set up the new left-hander after this. Lead man on in this bottom of the 7th inning at Citi Field. We got a pitching change here, a double switch for Craig Counsell. First, our Carshoot.com trivia, though. Prior to last season, the last Mets manager to lead the team to the World Series. And that takes you back to the year 2000. Mets going to the World Series in 2000. Actually, Willie Randolph was the manager.
The Subway Series.
You see the former managers. Davey Johnson took him to the World Series in '86. It'll be Curtis Granderson back to the top of the order. Runner at first. And Chris Capuano, the former Met, is on the pitch. Capuano was in the regular rotation for the Mets in 2011. One of the last years he was a full-time starter in the big leagues. As a matter of fact, he was second on that club in wins that year. The team was 8 games under 500. Granderson is 0 for 3. That's got a lead single from De Aza, the pinch hitter. And Granderson with a foul ball. Didn't miss it by much.
Capuano with that fastball, the cutter, the changeup will throw just about everything up there at you. Two of the next three hitters, including Granderson, are left-handed. Cabrera, switch hitter.
And pretty much across the board for the Mets, the numbers in the month of May have not been good. Granderson is a part of that. And you're trying to get through this series without these hitters figuring it out. Granderson's hit 136 in the month of May. He's down 0-2. And down he goes. Capuano rings the bell. Called strike 3, out number 1 for Chris Capuano.
And nice pitch right on that outside corner. Granderson, it's kind of a funky check swing right here. Look at Lucroy setting up away. And Capuano doesn't even have to, or Lucroy didn't have to move the glove. Borderline, but he gets a call. That's a nice pitch.
That might have been a swinging strike as well, had it not been called. So one away, still a runner at first. And the switch hitter Asdrubal Cabrera at the plate now. Singled his last time up. He was on when Michael Conforto went deep. That put the Mets in the lead 3-2. Wave and a miss. Capuano still at it after 2 Tommy John surgeries, 37 years of age. A testament to good genetics and very hard work. He is in incredible shape.
You don't see Capuano eating too many pizzas.
No. No, he's ahead of the curve, or was at least.
Yeah, he's one of those good eaters. Works out very hard, and it's kind of a family thing with the Capuanos.
Yeah, he's in his 12th year in the big leagues now, and many felt like his career was going to end after the 2007 season when he had to have the Tommy John surgery. He came back that year he had with the Mets. In 2011, got him a job with the Dodgers the following year. And he made 33 starts. He actually led the National League in starts that next season, 2012. And then after that, he started trending towards a reliever. Cabrera, big swing and a miss.
Nice changeup.
0-2 the count.
See that grip going away this time from Cabrera. He also throws one that will go down and in, so he can control, the movement on his changeup 2 different ways.
Fascinating what we can see today with our replay machines and the high-speed cameras we have. The grips. And a wave and a miss. Down goes Cabrera. So Capuano going off speed. Change-up breaking ball. Cabrera's gone. Back-to-back strikeouts for the left-hander.
And one on a fastball to Granderson and gets Cabrera on yet another changeup. A good pitch. I mean, not even close. That one way out of the strike zone, and Cabrera can't hold up.
Oh, there's a good look at it. Yeah, back-to-back changeups.
Yeah, same arm action as the fastball, but the grip a little bit different, and that's what kills the speed of it.
And still a runner at first for Michael Conforto. It'll be Capuano's last hitter. Craig Counsell is hoping it gets the Brewers to the dugout. Conforto with the big hit of the game. 2-run home run last inning off of Peralta to give the Mets the lead. Pulls it foul. 2 strikes on Conforto. The interesting note in the Mets game notes about Conforto's home runs. He's just getting his major league career started, but he's hit 16 home runs in his big league career. 9 of them have either given the Mets the lead or tied the game. He's now hit 8 go-ahead homers and 1 game-tying home run. So he's not just hitting home runs, but clutch home runs.
Not hitting home runs down 10-2. Clutch hitter.
It's a significant stat for a young hitter who. It's one thing to come up to the big leagues and be hidden a little bit towards the bottom of the order. Conforto in very short time has moved into a legitimate 3-hole hitter for Terry Collins. And once David Wright's career is over here, if the back injury takes him out, Conforto is going to be the premier bat in that lineup. He's already moving in that direction. Swing and a miss. Capuano strikes him out. And Chris Capuano comes in, does a job on his old team. Strikes out 3. Strands a runner at first, and the Brewers still down 1.
Fielder Cam Broxton had played his way back to the Major League roster, and Yadiel Rivera is trying to do the same with Colorado Springs. You see yesterday, a great night for him at the plate, 3 for 4, a double, a run, and an RBI. With the Sky Sox, he's hitting .357, 5 hits, 2 RBIs, and has hit safely in all 3 games so far.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Great update on Yadiel. He is a terrific defensive player, and good to see him swinging the bat down in AAA. I'm sure he'll be back soon enough. New pitcher rock is Addison Reed. He is the Mets setup man, and he'll have the 8th with Kurt Neuenhuis set to lead off.
Yeah, the best bullpen earned run average in all the National League, these New York Mets. 21st appearance for Reed, and a very good .250 earned run average. Check out the walks to strikeouts. 4 walks, 24 strikeouts, and 18 innings of work. He's having a nice year.
Mets tighten up defensively. De Aza will stay in the game and play left field in this 1-run game as Conforto is out. Kurt Neuenhuis in his return to Citi Field, he has struck out twice.
Neuenhuis has had some really good at-bats late in games. In that extra inning game against the Cubs on Wednesday, he had a couple of walks late in that game. He's walked 14 times, and 11 of them have come in the 7th inning or later. And the Brewers are playing in a number of close games. Fly ball into left. De Aza just in. Makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, he has put together some very good at-bats, has Kirk Neuenhuis, after a very, I guess I would say, average, unimpressive spring training. You knew he was going to make the ball club, but once he started getting a lot of playing time after Broxton got sent down, he got most of the time out in center field, and it's paid off. Swinging the bat well, getting on base.
So Neuenhuis 0 for 3. Brewers have not had a base runner since the 6th and have only had 1 base runner since the first inning when Carter homered. Ramon Flores pinch hits for Keon Broxton. Broxton's return to the major leagues. He goes 0 for 2. Had a couple of nice plays in center field. Brewers are banged up in their outfield right now. Santana placed on the disabled list. Domingo has a shoulder problem. And Ryan Braun is out with a back injury. Not on the DL, but probably a couple of days away if he can't get back on the field from putting him on the disabled list.
Man, what a hole that puts into that batting order for Craig Counsell. You can't really replace Ryan Braun in the batting order because when he's in there, everybody gets pitched a little bit differently. You always have to remember when you're facing the Brewers where Ryan Braun's coming up. Impact player makes a difference.
Two and two to Flores. Pinch hitting in the 8th. Brewers need a base runner. Trying to get this turned around. It's been a really good 1-2 punch for the Mets late in games. Rock gave you the bullpen numbers. But Addison Reed sets up Jeurys Familia. And he's been perfect closing games this year. 13 straight. That is a called strike 3. Addison Reed strikes out Flores for the 2nd out. Mets with a 2.48 bullpen ERA. Best in the National League. And the Brewers are going to have to find some answers quickly. Not much going on since that first inning. Alex Presley takes a strike.
And he keeps the baseball down, has a very good slider, and he's also going to throw a changeup. Most of his changeups are going to be to lefties.
Quickly 0-2. The Brewers have some activity in their bullpen. Jan Marinez. Presley, little handle shot, pop up over to third base. Side retired. Another 3 up, 3 down inning. Mets pitching has faced the minimum since the first.
well done. Chris Capuano will remain on the mound. Ramon Flores will stay in to play right field. And that moves Nieuwenhuis to center. Broxton is out. I think Craig Counsell had it in mind that Capuano would face the lefties, but he pitched so well last inning. He will remain, and he will face Yoenis Cespedes to start this 8th inning. Capuano has thrown 11 pitches, 10 of them for strikes. Struck out all 3 batters he faced last inning with a man at first base. A runner that he inherited from Torres.
He's got that strikeout ability. You know, he took the loss in that extra inning game last Saturday against San Diego, gave up a couple of home runs in his 2nd inning of work, and when he does struggle, it's usually in that 2nd inning when Craig Counsell is trying to get a little bit more out of him.
Tell you what, a trade that the Mets made to get Cespedes here last year. He was a game changer for New York. He's played 93 games as a Met. He's hit 30 homers in that stretch, 77 RBIs in the 93 games as a Met. But I will say this, even though Cespedes got a lot of the credit, and deservedly so, I thought the trade that mattered most for the Mets was the one they had with the Braves, picking up Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson.
Veteran guys,
role players, veteran guys, but it totally set the Mets in motion. And then they made the big splash getting Cespedes.
And those are the guys that make a difference in the postseason. When you have a couple of veterans like that, where you can use them, you know, spot start them and use them to come off the bench. I mean, veterans, that's what playoff teams do. You can't have young kids coming off the bench in the postseason.
Mets acquired Cespedes from the Tigers, gave up a couple of prospects for him. Impact bat in their lineup. And Capuano loses him. So a leadoff walk. The Mets have had their leadoff hitter reach base in the last 3 innings.
Yeah, and before that, it was a second, a leadoff walk to Neil Walker. He ended up scoring their run early in the game.
Runner at first, nobody out. Here is the switch hitter, Neil Walker. Much better as a left-handed hitter, much more power as a lefty. There was even some talk in Pittsburgh that Walker might bat exclusively left-handed. I don't think he ever got any legs. Remains a switch hitter. That's a tough transition for a hitter when you're seeing it one way for most of your career.
He's this year he's been doing a lot better from the right side. He's got a few home runs from as a right-handed batter.
He's hit 3 of his 10 homers as a right-hander this year.
And he's hitting about 290 as a right-handed hitter.
Walker spending 8 years with the Pirates. In his first year as a Met. A slow roller foul.
Big shoes to fill for Walker, though. Daniel Murphy at second base. Talk about the postseason. And Murphy was here at Citi Field before the Brewers showed up at the Nationals.
One of the hottest hitters ever in the postseason. What a stretch he had, and hitting home runs too in that division series round.
6 games in a row, wasn't it?
0-2 to Walker with a runner at first, and he got him. Capuano strikes him out. Boy, that is 5 batters faced, 4 punch outs for Chris Capuano.
I think it's Neil Walker on a changeup. That changeup's been a good pitch for him. And that's the changeup where it goes down and in. Maybe the slider took a little off the slider. Yep. Down and in, back foot, and Walker over the top of it.
Capuano's had a nice long break. Rock mentioned that game against the Padres. As Duda turns it around, foul. Hit it like a bullet, but hooks it foul. And a long, loud strike that was.
Yeah, don't throw that one again.
Capuano has not pitched since last Friday. It's been a full week for him. He's been up in the bullpen a few times warming up, but has not been a game, and he looks fresh tonight. Tough outing for him in that game against San Diego. That was an extra inning loss. Beg your pardon, Saturday. It's been 6 days since his last outing. That was the first of 2 5-hour extra inning games the Brewers played.
Yep, 12 and 13 innings. Lost them both.
4 days apart.
Were they 5 hours?
Both of them.
Didn't seem like it.
The second one was exactly 5 hours. It just kind of breezed along, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Craig Counsell and Derek Johnson feel like the Brewers came out very well, considering they lost both of those games. But as far as the pitching goes, they didn't have to burn through too many relievers. Namely because Tyler Thornburg stepped up in a big way yesterday, and they were able to give Jeremy Jeffress a day off. He had pitched in 5 straight games.
Well, the one benefit they had was they had a team day off on Monday. Gave the guys a little bit of a rest.
See that monitor in the background in the dugout. Juris Familia is loosening in the pen, the Mets closer.
Yeah, one's the Brewers bullpen, the other is the Mets.
Duda into right. Flores will make the play, and out number 2.
Hey, you can save big on tickets when you bring your group of 25 or more to Miller Park this summer. Group packages start as low as $6 per ticket and are available in a variety of customizable spaces, including tailgate pavilions, seating blocks, and all-inclusive areas and more. Customizable spaces.
Good word, Rock. 5-syllable word they're throwing at you in the promo.
Second time. That's the second time that I've had to read that this week.
You handled it like a champ. Eric Campbell will bat now. 2 outs, runner at first. Brewers down a run. They'll have the pitcher spot due up to start the 9th. Plenty of bench to work with tonight. Only using the one pinch hitter thus far, Craig Counsell. That was Flores, who stays in the game. And then back to the top of the order. And if you're looking ahead, you need 2 base runners to get Carter to the plate. He's been the big home run threat. Hit a 2-run homer in the first inning tonight. His 13th homer of the season and his 3rd home run in the last 5 games. Love to get the big man an at-bat in the 9th inning. He's due up 5th.
I'd imagine Kent would like to have that pitch back. I mean, you wonder, he's having a rough time at the plate, a couple of strikeouts. He did draw a walk, but a 2-0 fastball right down the middle. And just watches it go by.
Campbell tonight starting at 3rd for David Wright. Between Wright's back problems and Duda's back problems, Campbell has played a lot this year. Two balls, 1 strike to count. 2 outs in the Mets' 8th. 2-2 now.
Yeah, after getting thrown out last time he was on the bases, there's no indication that he's even thinking about stealing. He got thrown out, didn't even bother sliding. 1 for 2 in stolen bases now is Cespedes. He doesn't get paid to steal bases.
Capuano trying to strike out his 5th batter across 2 innings. Now he hit him. Spiked that breaking ball. It drilled him on the foot. And the Mets have runners at first and second now. Second hit batter of the night from Brewer pitching. Peralta hit Duda earlier tonight.
Both on the foot.
Yeah, right on the front toe.
You can see it spinning in there, getting him right on that little toe on the side of the foot.
It's probably going to leave a mark.
Yeah. It's not going to slow him down, though.
2 on, 2 out. Here is Rene Rivera. Got to look out at that first pitch with this guy at the plate. He is an ambush hitter. And in the dirt, Capuano with another breaking ball. Capuano's been good for the Brewers to go 2 innings quite often this year. He's been able to pitch across multiple innings in most of his outings. This will be the 9th time this season, the 9th outing out of his 15 that he has gone more than an inning. And in a game like this, when you're down only a run, if you have a pitcher you trust who can give you a couple of innings, keep the game close, save your bullpen, and then try to strike at the end, you set yourself up. If you take the lead, you've got Jeremy Jeffress to try to close it out, and it really puts the pitchers in a good place moving forward in this series.
Well, Craig Counsell has had confidence in every one of his relievers that have gone out there as of late, last month or so. Guys have been terrific, every one of them.
A wave and a miss out in front.
Change up.
1-2 the count on Rivera.
A lot of come from behind victories for the Brewers, and you can give a lot of credit for that to that bullpen.
Peralta gave up the 2-run homer to Conforto in the 6th inning that gave the Mets the lead. Brewers had led 2-1 until the 6th. And now down a run with 3 outs to work with. Capuano trying to get through this 8th inning. And a swing and a miss. Down he goes. Capuano goes back to it. Rivera strikes out. 5 punch outs across 2 innings for Capuano. Now the Mets closer, Jerry's Familia. The Brewers down a run.
3-2 Mets. We go to the 9th inning from Citi Field in Queens. And Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin tonight, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. See if the Brewers have a little late game magic. They're going to have to do it against a guy who has been flawless this year as far as saves go. 13 out of 13, Jeurys Familia.
He throws hard, a lot of fastballs. He's got a pretty good curveball to go with it. Occasional changeup. Has not allowed a home run this year, so if you're thinking about a home run, it would be a first, a 245 earned run average. And the Brewers have Jeanette in the top of the order.
Jeanette came in on the double switch last inning, or 2 innings ago, I should say. And he will lead the way. First pitch, hack. Familia's got a big fastball with a lot of movement and a killer split finger fastball. Jeurys Familia, the Dominican Republic. In the air, slicing, and that'll end up in the seats. And it's quickly 0-2 on Jeanette. Familia took over that closer's role last year for the Mets and saved 43 games last year. Led the majors in games finished. He ended the year with a 1.85 ERA. Only allowed 6 home runs all season. Big strikeout numbers for Familia.
And worked a lot last couple of years. 76 appearances in both seasons.
He's got Jeanette 0-2. Got him. A strikeout with a fastball.
And a two-seam fastball right on the edge.
One away in the 9th for Familia.
Look at this location right here. You see Rivera setting up down and just able to nibble off that outside corner with that good movement. There you see the two-seam grip and the ball going away from Jeanette. And a swing and a miss.
Top of the order now. Here is Jonathan Villar, who has never faced Familia. And trying to get a good look at him. First pitch fastball at 95. Familia has converted 29 straight saves with the 13 in a row this year. Ground ball laying out. Terrific play by Campbell. Wow, what a play that was.
And if that ball gets by him, there's no way Cabrera gets that out. Not the way VR can run. Nice play.
Eric Campbell takes a hit away from VR for the second out of the inning. 2 gone in the 9th. Don't forget, tomorrow there is rain expected, but if we're able to play, it'll be Zach Davies against Jacob deGrom. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. We hit the air at 2:30 in the Central Time Zone. First pitch just after 3 o'clock. Brewers down to their last out, down a run. Hernan Perez at the plate. Cut and a miss.
This kind of gives you an indication where Ryan Braun is health-wise. You'd be seeing him right here.
Back up the middle, it hits Familia, he recovers, and that's a ball game. The Mets win. 3 up, 3 down inning. Familia collects his 14th save. He remains perfect, and the Mets a come from behind win tonight. Michael Conforto, a 2-run 6th inning home run, and the Mets defeat the Brewers by a 3-2 final in the opener of this series. Sets us up for Brewers Live. We send it to Jeff Grayson. He's back in our Fox Sports Wisconsin studios. Jeff?